We got up fairly early this morning, around 7 o'clock. We've been getting up each morning because the sun's up and we need to get on track. Unfortunately this morning while packing I broke the rear window, so we've had to do some quick maintenance work. The gas bottle moved and cracked the rear window. Luckily we had a tarp and a few ocky straps on board. As part of your equipment on board, you should always have a couple of tarps just in case you need to do something, like I've had to, reuse a tarp as a rear window, and some ocky straps, 100-mile-an-hour tape, cable ties, those sort of bits of equipment that you need just in case they can be turned into something else. Even some fencing wire is also very important to have a bit of that just in the back of the car, put away, just in case you do need to do some mechanical work while on the fly.
Hi guys, David from Kaymar 4-Wheel Drive. Now today, absolutely like every other day has been, sensational that we're out here once again. Today we're going to quickly talk about a bit of car-to-car communication and sand flags. Very important out here. Now, out here it's a bit of an unwritten rule that we all travel on Channel 10. The beauty about that is you're able to hear the chatter between the vehicles from each different convoy, and as you get closer between the dunes, you can then communicate with each other. Now today you would have seen us moving out of the way, moving sideways, other people stopping for us to let us go through. So basically we're all out here to enjoy it and be very safe. So car-to-car communications are a really integral and important part of being out here in the outback and enjoying what you're doing out here in the Simpson Desert.
It's been quite good to see the terrain slowly change from very sparse through to a lot of low-lying scrubbery. Into quite a big, large treed area, which we found interesting. After going over a large sand dune, just this huge amount of trees just come out of nowhere.
Now the sand flags that we're all running on the vehicles here are all approved sand flags. They're nice and high, very flexible. You can make your own one at home, but also the commercial ones that are available are also very easy to use as well. The beauty about having a good quality sand flag is the fact is with all the flexing and the whipping and the moving around, it's going to stay there, it's not going to fall off the front of the vehicle. So you don't want something really solid and tight there, which can also damage the vehicle. And if it's mounted correctly, you won't have any problems with it. The beauty of the sand flag is it's designed so when you approach the top of a dune, the flag will be seen before the car will actually be seen. So that you're actually giving warning to those people that may not have a radio, because people do travel out here without radios, unfortunately. We'll give them at least warning that you're coming and cresting a dune. Another thing we tend to do out here to keep things a little bit safe is drive with our headlights. You can see headlights in the distance much better. It just gives those cars coming towards you, again, another little bit of a warning.
And then over the next sand dune, we came to a huge salt flat. So it's been interesting seeing how each time you go over a different dune, you end up with a different sort of ecosystem.
John Paul was eating this.
Oh, you like salt?
Yeah. It's amazing, bloody amazing.
Deceiving with that the white salty sort of colour to see where everything is.
Once you get
Great.
Because there's been so much water around
Exactly.
for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
right.
There'll be massive amounts. So basically from Poeppel's corner forward, it's all just dune and
a lot faster.
salt pan.
A lot faster.
And they're massive. Like I mean, they're probably a couple of k's across. You can actually get all the cars lined up across and drive across side by side,
Which is good fun.
It's amazing.
Next up, it's the Your 4x4 email competition.
Thanks, Simon. Our entry this week comes from Wes Brown.
and I like this one. Wes has written, with family loaded into the Lux, this is where I like spending the bucks. Up the coast or in the hills, my Lux delivers all the thrills.
Thanks for sending in that email. You've won yourself a Lightforce tack torch and stubby holder. And you're also in the running for the ARB Twin Motor Portable Compressor. For full details, visit the Your 4x4 website.
Okay, here we are out in the Simpson Desert on pretty much the last leg of the crossing. And we've been travelling in a convoy from the very beginning of the trip, and the importance of being in a convoy is even more evident when you're crossing a place like this. Though we've swapped the lead on numerous occasions throughout the trip, the advantages are really that obviously if you have any mechanical problem, there's plenty of people with you that can help you out. Everyone's carrying different spares, everyone's had minor problems of some description, but nothing that's been able to make us get stuck. Whereas if you're by yourself and you had even one of these problems, it's likely that you might not be able to continue. And even though there's a lot of traffic out here, it's not likely that you'd be stuck here for very long, but you would end up with a rather large recovery cost.
What are you going to do? Nothing. There's nothing we can do. Worth a go, Michael.
It's been quite entertaining for us so far, and the trip has been, without being really intense, it's been hard work on the cars, but every car has so far performed reasonably well. A few minor mechanical problems along the way. We're presently just fixing one of the cars, but nothing sort of untoward, so it's been a good trip.
We use the two that we don't need, which is the the Imperial one, I think, isn't it? So what do you want to hit it with?
Oh, I'll get the half-inch extension.
Well, you get Rick your half-inch extension, I'll get a hammer.
No problem.
But even so, Michael, if we pull this thing out, how do we get out from in between that pulling the spring out?
Well, what a brilliant morning it has been so far, following west to east along the French line. We've seen plenty of traffic, plenty of dunes, and those salt pans were absolutely amazing. Well, we've just kicked up, done some running repairs and had some lunch. It's time to get back on the road. We've got about 40 k's to get to Poeppel Corner and then a sprint. Fingers crossed, let's see if we can make Big Red this afternoon.
It's much better being out with other people. It's a good social experience and everyone can share their experiences and people will see things that other people don't see and they can point them out to each other. The other advantage as far as driving goes is as the conditions are always changing, you'll come across dunes that have got different tracks, left or right or through the centre. Someone may have a go at it and say, try the other side because that wasn't too good or whatever. So you can share the experiences that you get from the front with the drivers behind. You can warn them of oncoming hazards, and that gives you even more chance of not breaking something when you're out here. And there's nothing more pleasurable than sitting around the campfire, swapping stories of the day with other people.
It's been quite a pleasant trip. We've gone through quite a few large sand dunes and also quite a large flats area.
In some respects, it's a shame we've got to shoot off because it would be lovely to spend a few days here, but we've got a lot of desert country to see in the next few days.
With the clock ticking, we were hot on the pace, but still taking in the amazing ambience and remoteness, as well as the drastic scenery changes offered by these expansive dry salt lakes that were dotted throughout this side of the Simpson Desert. After 2 days of slow and rough dune driving, the open salt flats were an opportunity to rest our bodies and vehicles from the seemingly endless swaying and bouncing of the Simpson sands. It's also worth noting that due to the dry lakes, your average speed and distance covered will be far greater through this section than the more westerly parts of the desert. And with a reasonable sized convoy and plenty of distance still to cover, the increase in our progress was welcomed. But our goal of reaching Big Red on time was seemingly still slipping from our reach.
Looking forward to getting to Big Red, hopefully tonight, and seeing how we go there.
Next up, it's the Ask an Expert segment.
Well, thanks, Simon. This week's question comes from Tim Barry at Seven Hills in New South Wales. And Tim wants to know, do snorkel pre-cleaners actually work? Well, let's ask our good friend Andrew from Berrima Diesel about this one.
G'day, I'm Andrew from Berrima Diesel Service. By putting on a pre-cleaner, a bit like you've probably seen on tractors and earth-moving machinery, it allows the ability of the air to go in, be sort of spun around, and heavy matter such as dust pre-cleaned out, and just really leaves a very, very fine amount for your air cleaner to clean up. Okay, well, as you can see, there is a lot of dust in here, and that would have all gone through to your air filter. So a pre-cleaner really is a worthwhile thing. I've had a couple of days out of this before I tipped it out earlier, so it shows you pretty quickly it builds up. Some of the preparation stuff you should be doing, certainly make sure if you have got a snorkel on and you can fit a pre-cleaner, definitely fit one. A pre-cleaner works by spinning the air, and as the air goes in, it spins up through the centre and dust falls out and down into the tray. If you have a very large pre-cleaner on, the dust spinning action is so slow that in fact the air just goes through the little vent and straight down the snorkel and doesn't clean. So when you're choosing a pre-cleaner, my advice certainly would be to just stick with the 7-inch pre-cleaner. If you're worried about the amount of air that your vehicle was getting, sure, you could run your normal snorkel top back on the black top. But once you get off-road, certainly throw on your 7-inch pre-cleaner. Just extend those filter services. Probably when I get back to Berrima, New South Wales, I'll change my filter by then.
For asking that question, you've won yourself a Piranha diff breather. You're also in the running for the Wholesale heavy-duty valve body converter lockup and temperature gauge kit, the Lightforce 50-watt 170mm striker driving lamp kit, and the RFI antenna pack. For full details, visit the Your 4x4 website.
This week's first entry is this great looking 79 series. This shot was taken on a family Christmas holiday at the northern end of Fraser Island. Our next entry was taken while camping on the Murray River at Jingellic. The well kitted out Hilux is set up for quick and easy camping. Now this GU Patrol sure looks like a fun ride. It's used and abused for everything from extreme bush tracks to fishing trips on the beach. This tidy looking Land Rover Defender has been kitted out with a winch and bar and plenty of extra protection, and had no trouble tackling the Powerlines track at Mundering in Western Australia. Our final entry is this tough GQ Patrol. loaded up with the camping gear after spending a week with the family at Double Island Point.